Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with John Greschner. Felons Talk. People, you need to hit like and subscribe so that you can continue getting this content from us. Uh, John's going to tell us some important things about uh,
Marion,
magnesium.
Illinois, the prison, all of that. I'm
So
ready to roll. Let's roll.
go ahead, John. You start. You
All
start the.
right. This is John Greschner. I'm in the Colorado Department of Corrections in Ordway, Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility.
Speak up, though, bro.
I'm in Colorado Department of Corrections. Okay, in Ordway, Colorado, Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility. I'm talking today about Marion, Illinois, which was the new Alcatraz when they closed Alcatraz out in San Francisco Bay. It was on what was called the Crab Orchard Wildlife Preserve. The water there in Crab Orchard Lake is a United States Environmental Protection Agency, a Superfund cleanup site. So there was a lot of problems going on there at that time. And this is in the 1980s, the time frame I'm talking about right now. And all of a sudden there was some type of a parasitic infestation. They didn't know what it was, so they brought in an epidemiologist for the Center for Disease Control. And they brought him to me because I was stirring everybody up to file grievances on the water and all that. And we got talking about it, and they got nervous, so they snatched me out of Marion and sent me down to Springfield, Missouri to give me a angiogram on my heart. 4 years earlier, they said I had a prolapsed mitral valve in my heart. Anyhow, when I come back, I left from the D block, the D ranges, which is the right-hand side of the cell block. When I came back, they put me on the left-hand side, the AC side, put me on C range or C care in 18 cells. So some of the fellow AB members of mine, Wayne Bridgewater, Dallas Scott, Al Benton, Billy McKinney, all them guys hollered over. They said, "What's up, brother?" I said, "I'm all right." They said, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm cool." They said, "Listen, one of the homeboys from Sacramento's down there, Big Mac, Michael McElhaney, and look him up down there. Tell him we send ours." I said, "All right, where's he at?" They said, "Downstairs on A range, somewhere in the middle." You can't miss him. He's a big wood, 6'4", 250, 260, something like that. I said, "All right." So I went down there and I'm looking. I see him running to it like 10 cells. I see a big white dude in there, and I tell him, "You Mac?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm John." I shook his hand. I said, "The fella said hello and this and that." So we started chopping up a little bit. I told him, "Give me a pack of Camels and a bucket of Copenhagen. I'll pay you back when I get my shitty side." So we talked a little bit. I went back into my cell and up on the second tier and back in 18 cell. And he came up to visit me and said, "Hey, you need some water or something?" I said, "No, I'm good." Then he split. He was acting kind of weird. So finally he came around and visited me up my cell one day. He's outside the bars. He says, "Look," he says, "we got, I want to, just come clean with you, man." He says, "I got some problems with the fellas out on the coast." And that's the AB out on the coast. I said, "Well, what's happening?" He says, "Well, they wanted me to do some drug stuff. I didn't want to do it. They sent 3 kids at me with knives. I took their knives from and this and that. And so we got some problems up like in the hat out there." So I said, "Well, let me check on it, run a megan, because I'm on the national commission. There's 3 of us on the national commission: me, Barry Mills, and T. Bingham. So I got some authority to stop shit and investigate stuff." So at that time, Barry was left D unit, went into the step-down unit in C block at Marion, which is on his way out of the joint. But he either got busted with some cyanide coming in, or he cussed out McElhaney because McElmurray, the unit manager, he'd been in a C unit program twice. He got kicked out. I could never get in that program, but he came back. Well, he seen me talking to Mac. He said, "Look, well, I wouldn't get too close to that guy if I were you, because we're probably going to have to kill him." I said, "Listen, man, I'm not helping anybody kill a guy because he's a man and because he refused to do something. He wasn't obligated. He wasn't a brother. He was never a brother." Well, later on, a guy comes in and says it really wasn't about that, some drug stuff. There may have been a little of that, but what it really was about was the fellas had some problems with some cops out there, and they wanted Mac to kill a cop. And he dumped it off on a black crew, trying to get the black crew to do it. And I guess that's what pissed them off. They don't want no blacks taking care of their business. So fast forward, Mac goes through the step-down program and all that, and he leaves. He goes down to Leavenworth. And then that whole trip goes on. There is trial. He calls me as his expert witness and all that. And you know, it's not unusual. It's like we had on the prior episode about Tommy killing the cop Floods and Clay hitting Hoffman and stuff like that. This stuff happens a lot, man. It happens more than people think. This is why it's always important to everybody understand their roles and the parameters of the roles. We're convicts, they're cops. You don't get into personal shit with them. They don't get into personal shit with us. Keep it professional, because if you don't, people are going to end up start getting killed. It's like we had a brief conversation earlier where I was telling you I know of two people that had some static with a Federal Bureau of Prisons cop that later became a ward and then later moved up to the central office in Washington, D.C. of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. He was some type of assistant director. And they were tracking him. And they went into the streets. They had a getaway car. They had a communication sets. The guy in the streets is going to do the hit. He's in a jumpsuit. He's got 357 Magnum. They already been tracking this guy. They know his pattern. They know where he drives in and everything. He's going to walk right up and shoot him in the head. And this is going down. The problem is the shooter, he's got a gold chain around his neck. It's a rope. It's over $100,000 chain. And it's like a big, thick rope. And it's under the collar of this jumpsuit. He's got the collar kind up, but you can see it. Well, while he's standing there waiting, he's in communication with his Confederate in the getaway car, and it's getting ready to go down. Here comes this black crackhead, old spindly leg Cletus crackhead, walking down the sidewalk, and he's walking towards his shooter, and he happens to see this big fucking gold chain around this guy's neck. I mean, it's a rope, big, thick rope. So he's thinking he's going to snatch this and get him some crack money. And what he doesn't know is this guy's a shooter. Not only that, this guy's like a hand-to-hand combat expert. This guy's the real deal. And he walks up and he snatches this fucking chain and tries to pull it, but it won't break. Now the shooter, grabs him, turns him upside down, and he's slamming him into the sidewalk upside down on his head. Well, there's a fat black female walking down the sidewalk pushing a stroller with some kids in it. And she sees, this white dude got a black dude upside down, smashing him into the sidewalk. She starts screaming. Literally screaming loud, bloody murder. And he's got to drop old Cletus, old crackhead Cletus, and get the fuck out of there, jump in the car and get away. That's the only thing that kept an assistant director from getting assassinated that day. It's a crackhead trying to snatch this guy's chain. The dude fucked up. He should have never had a $120,000 fucking rope hanging around his neck. But that's real shit. That's a real trip that went down. So these things happen all the time, man. It was like in the Florence ADX over there in Colorado, the Supermax, the new Alcatraz of the Rockies. The government was deliberately putting people together and creating racial shit. So there was a conversation that went down, and through the communication systems in the law books, through encryption systems, and there were some younger guys that were over there with Barry Mills, because Barry Mills would have never did nothing like this on his own. And they started pushing, saying, listen, man, these cops are putting everybody, not only us, but black guys in be killed situations. They're getting people killed. Not just stand up, they're getting people killed. The shit in Lewisburg where the blacks got killed, the government did that. At Marion when the blacks got killed, the government did that. They're throwing people in kill or be killed situations. You got to do what you got to do or you're going to get killed. So people started saying, hey, listen, man, we need to move on these cops. We need to fucking move on these cops. These cops are out of line, man. So a decision was made not to do it inside prisons with knives and guns, even zip guns, A lot of times we've had ammunition. Even in the ADX over there, there was live, real street ammunition over there, along with cyanide and all that. So they says, we need people in the streets to do this. So what they did is they started saying, well, we're going to get some guys, we're going to go with some bombs. They wanted to do a truck bomb on the central office in Washington, D.C. This is coming from Barry Mills. He's wanting to do a truck bomb on the central office of the BOP and the United States Department of Justice. You're talking about a truck bomb, like, 5,000-pound truck bomb with RDX. This is like this primary component in military-grade plastic explosive. and then another truck bomb of that size against the Twin Towers in Kansas City, Missouri, on the North Central Regional Office, and then some assorted letter bombs, number 10 letter bombs, not the big clunky things like the Unabomber, that they can send to they feel who are culpable government officials. And this was going down. What happened is another guy rolled over. He thought he was going to get hit. He was one of the guys involved in the sending and receiving messages, encryption messages, and all this stuff. So what happened was they got with one of the fellows that knows a little something about bombs, and he gave him the drawings. He sent the word to Barry Mills. He said, you get such a volume of federal supplement, that's federal district court things, and the last page numbers is BD, it stands for birthday. That's 8/26, August 26th. Barry and his both shared the same birthdays. I seen in one of Barry's death things, his was in April. Well, he always celebrated August 26th as his birthday with this other guy. This guy Quicksilver. So, anyhow, then in that book, it told him to go get an F2D, a federal appellate court thing. And in there is an encryption telling him what to do, how to do it, and an invisible ink, like Mike Thompson did on that Pangeo thing. But in invisible ink in the law books, it's putting together the firing circuits, arming and firing circuits, the schematics, right? But this dude knows there's too many leaks, so he's tweaking the circuits so they won't fire. And that's what's happening right there, because they're going to bomb them and then set some letter bombs off. Basic number 10 plastic explosive letter bombs, with arming and collapsible circuit firing circuits. It's simple shit, right? And but all that got stopped. But this was a direct result of illegal government activity, getting people killed. And this ties into that illegal intelligence they had over there. You got to understand something. They started a unit. It was a pilot program out of Washington, D.C. in the H unit in the Federal Supermax in Florence, the ADX. Not to be confused with H unit, which was the control unit at Marion. This was a secret limited access unit. Even cops couldn't get in there. And it was run out of Washington, D.C., Michael Cooksey. It was run through North Central Regional Director Hershberger, and then the upper administration of the ADX Florence Supermax, the new Alcatraz. The SIF's office was running it, Lieutenant Les Smith. This is why I was saying my lawsuits were against them. And Danny Schaff, he was the SIA. They were sending everybody's files in there. John Gotti's, Nicky Scarful's, Charlie Harrelson's, all of ours, all kinds of people's files in their state files, federal files, intel files, CIA files, all this. Well, these guys were stealing this stuff. They're not only fabricating cases on people, on prisoners, U.S. citizens, and foreign nationals, but they stole some and smuggled it to the streets for sale to the highest bidder. There's letters and communications and everything on this that resulted in some Mexican government officials that were culpable in the drug trades with the cartels in Mexico and in Central America and South America getting killed. I know of 5 of them that got killed. So the thing is, and this was also, I was telling you earlier, where they got that one thing, they were subverting Charlie Harrelson's federal habeas corpus is 2255 on the assassination of Judge Wood down in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm paraphrasing now, but this document basically, and it was a CIA, NSA document, a sensitive document, that says 2 members of the Dixie Mafia and CIA employee were both on site in Dallas, Texas during the JFK assassination, which, by the way, Charlie Harrelson was arrested as a hobo, a bum. They didn't get him with a rifle down there at that time. It says both were subsequently convicted of high-profile rifle assassinations. Charlie Harrelson on federal judge John Wood in San Antonio, Texas, and James Earl Ray on Martin Luther King in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, I got up on that document, and I wrote the U.S. Attorney General, Janet Reno, and told her about this. Immediately, they came out with a cover-up saying the DOJ just finished another 18-month investigation on the Martin Luther King assassination that again concluded James Earl Ray acted alone. So the thing is all of this came out of that unit. These guys stole that document. They were going to try to extort Woody Harrelson, the movie star dude. That's Charlie Harrelson's son. Woody and Wesley Snipes used to come up and visit Charlie. They're paying money and all that on his appeal stuff on the judge assassination, because Charlie was alleging. I know Charlie. Charlie was alleging that the rifle they used, that they're alleging he used to assassinate the federal judge, was the wrong rifle. The ballistics were wrong and everything else. And he's saying there was hanky-panky involved there. So the whole thing is this is what was going on. This is what happens when you establish these hands-off federal facilities with no real oversight, and you just let them, it's like the old saying, man, absolute power corrupts absolutely. The ADX was the only acknowledged black site on American soil, meaning like a CIA black site, where they usually do renditions to Egypt and Eastern Europe to do interrogations on people and whatever, like terrorists and all. The ADX was the only acknowledged black site on U.S. soil. So there's all kinds of shit going on, and there was communications going on from that site back to the Middle East with so-called terrorists that they're saying they're holding there. There was all kinds of problems with that facility over there. So this whole trip where you talk about guys hitting cops and stuff like this, it's not unusual, man. And then when you put people in deep slam or solitary confinement, sensory deprivations, making people crazy anyhow, and then you put them under these types of pressures and you're stirring up gang strife and racial strife amongst different groups, and then throwing them together, you got people that start getting hit, man, people that start getting killed. They knew that shit was going to go down in Lewisburg. And Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, was always considered, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons director, Kathleen Hawk Sawyer, that was a joint that was off limits to any active Aryan Brotherhood or Mexican Mafia. It was considered a neutral joint. They knew there was problems between the AB and the DC blacks, and one of the guys that was a DC black that was stirring up a bunch of shit, they sent him back to Lewisburg, and they went right to Marion and snatched up 5 guys that were either AB or affiliates of AB and sent them up to Lewisburg. And it cracked off right after that. Two blacks got stabbed up, 2 or 3 more got stabbed up real bad. But the government knew about that ahead of time. They deliberately did that shit. So that's what was going on with all that. And that's why I was trying to reach out to the families of all these guys that got killed. That's why I went through Jackie Reed on BT News to tell them, listen, man, you got to do some righteous wrongful death suits against the government. They deliberately did this shit, which was knowing what's going to happen, and resulted in people getting stabbed to death. So that's actually what was going on. And out of that unit, I'm going to tell you something. Out of that unit, man, that illegal intelligence unit in the ADX, there was that, they were fabricating a case, that's what I was telling you before, on Nation of Islam and Minister Farrakhan. There was also, they were pushing a conspiracy out of Chicago, a political conspiracy of high-profile blacks that were gang members that they claimed they removed them from the streets because they were starting to get political and they were diluting the minority votes in Chicago that normally the upper, established political structures and were actually using, and they were losing votes. Well, once they put them in prison, they were still functioning. So what they did is there was a conspiracy.
You have 1 minute left.
That came out to kill them inside the prisons. And it would just be another racial killing during these racial warfares going on in the federal prison system. That was in the late 90s. So this was actually a thing, and they wanted to use AB to use cyanide, but nobody was feeding into that, man, because they'll just play everybody as dupes and they'll start hitting them themselves, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, well listen,
So
we're getting ready to get
on.
cut off right here, so we'll start another episode tomorrow, all right?
Okay, all right, I'll see you then. All right, tell everybody hello, stay up, stay safe.
All right,
Later.
bye.